Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Shannon and today's planet of focus is Neptune. I'm very excited to do Neptune for obvious reasons. It is my ruling planet, and as a Pisces I cannot wait to relay this information that not only affects us individually, of course because of our charts, but how Neptune affects us as a generation as a whole. So without further ado, let's get into the planet itself of Neptune. So the first thing that everybody needs to understand when it comes to Neptune as a planet is that it is the planet of bewitchment. It is a planet of dreams, mystery, and illusions. So if you are someone who happens to be really into the occult, spiritualism, you have had things happen to you that you can't really explain, and the only thing you can come up with is that it was just a coincidence, 9 times out of 10 you probably have very strong Neptune influences on your chart. Its realm is the subconscious world, hidden memory, intuition, and clairvoyance. It can also just go from one extreme to the next. With the good comes the bad. So on one hand, you have the glamour, artistic imagination, visions, dreams. But on the other hand, you can have deception, confusion, fraud, treachery. And as far as how Neptune affects our activity, motion pictures, drama, dance, poetry, that is all the goodness that comes with Neptune. But on the other hand, you have to remember that it also represents hospitals, drug addiction, anesthesia, prisons, hypnosis, and poison. It's also very important to note that Neptune initially, or pretty much, cracks open the creative genius within us, and especially Pisces, who is, ruled by Neptune. At its highest vibration, Neptune is essentially perfect. And the last thing I want to say about Neptune is actually going to be something that I read from a book, and that book is The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need by Joanna Woolfolk. So just in case you guys wanted to purchase it yourself, or for my own personal reason, which was to give credit where credit is due. So let me try to make this short. You know how in the beginning when I mentioned that Neptune has a generational influence on us? This is going to explain that. The year 1846, when Neptune was discovered, was a time of renewed interest in spiritualism. Hypnosis became a new medical treatment, and anesthetics were first introduced into general use. 10 years later, Sigmund Freud was born. During his lifetime, Freud's theory of the unconscious and his new science of psychoanalysis revolutionized the treatment of mental disorders and changed the very way that human beings looked at themselves. All through the decade of the 1960s, Neptune was in Scorpio. During this time, we saw the rise of the drug culture. From the 1970s until 1984, Neptune transited the sign of Sagittarius, and there was an upsurge of interest in so-called New Age topics, reincarnation, channeling, and quest for deeper meaning. While Neptune was in Capricorn between 1985 and 1998, drugs became an international trade and government rose and fell over issues of religion and ideology. Between 1998 and 2012, Neptune journeys through Aquarius. A negative aspect of this transit may rise an anarchy, but a more optimistic view looks for greater brotherhood among nations and more spiritual altruism throughout the world. Interestingly, the final year of Neptune's presence in Aquarius, the year 2012, this is very important, is predicted by the Mayan calendar to be the end of the world. Many astrologers and spiritual guides predict this means that on a global level, there will be a change in consciousness among human beings, and our values will shift toward creating a utopian society. That is the guess, by the way, the last thing I said about us being the ones to shift. And when I say us, I'm talking about us millennials, not Gen Z. Millennials, apparently we're supposed to be creating this utopian society, and it makes sense. I could see that because we're very big on do you live your life and be happy. I don't know if a utopian society would necessarily be a good thing, aka Hunger Games and all that other stuff, but it makes sense. Now let's get into the sign that is ruled by Neptune, which is Pisces. So to start, how Neptune comes through in Pisces is obvious. We are dreamers. We are literally the dreamers and the manifestors of the zodiac. One of my favorite things that I love to say about Pisces is we've been here before. Because we are the oldest sign and the last sign, we literally have all the traits and all the characteristics of all the other signs. We are essentially the chameleons of the zodiac. And I'm assuming that we're brought here on our last journey in order to actually find a purpose and find ourselves, and to actually tap into our creative genius in order to make the world a better place. On the good side, we are passionate, compassionate, we are empathetic, loving, creative, loyal, and sensitive. And I'm gonna divide that sensitivity because we can be sensitive in good and very, very, very bad self-destructive ways. Now this is the part where it's going to get a little bit personal. It's going to get a little bit offensive to those who may not be evolved, but let's just get into the bad when it comes to Pisces. I'll start small and I'll really get there. We can be indecisive, vague, secretive, easily confused, manipulative. We constantly have rose-tinted glasses on, and we like to project our fantasies onto everybody else because we are living in both reality and fantasy. We are like split. I think it was some time ago I posted, not some time ago, it was on Mother's Day, where I said the female is very powerful because we're like the only ones that have a connection to the divine spirits and are here on earth. That's pretty much what Pisces is. We are half here, half not, half mystical, half real. And we also can fall into very heavy addictions with drugs and alcohol. Same difference. With drugs, because we are trying to escape. Because like I said but like I said while describing us, we've been here before. So we're very bored. We're over it. It takes a lot, at least from this Pisces and a lot of other Pisces I met, it takes a lot to excite us. It takes a lot to get us in the groove. Like, we are not that person that has the huge zest for life like Aries do. It's like we have a zest for life, but everything has to have meaning. It has to make us feel something. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter. And not on that it just doesn't matter, but it's just like it's not there almost. Something that I love to say about Pisces, because we are supposed to be a mystery, and that always confused me about us, because I didn't understand how we could possibly be mysteries, because those who we really love and are close with were pretty much an open book. But I guess I never looked at it from the outsider's perspective, because me as a Pisces, naturally I just don't pay attention to people who are not on my radar or who I've never spoken to before. And it's not even on a dismissive tip. It's because we're always daydreaming. We're always in our own little world. We're not ignoring people around us. We're just not really in the moment. We're not really with you. We're there with you, but we're not really there with you. I can have a conversation with you and think about something else completely different and still actually hear you, but I'm going to miss bits and pieces because I'm zoned out thinking about the fantasy. So even though we may seem as though we're standoffish, that's really not the case. We're really just in our own heads, and all you gotta do is speak to us and we'll speak back, unless, you know, that Pisces happens to be a dickhead. And something that I really wanted to dissect were two things. On the negative side, Pisces self-righteousness and Pisces rose-tinted glasses. I want to start with the self-righteous, because it took me a very long time to realize how self-righteous I actually was. Okay? And it honestly didn't happen until I moved to New York. And here's the thing. Pisces, when we're growing up and as a child, we're very sensitive, and a lot of the times we grow up in environments where people don't understand our sensitivity, and they just don't understand us in general as a person. So a lot of the times we spend our childhood kind of defending ourselves, because people are always either interrupting us, talking over us, or basically just making us seem as though something's wrong with us, like we're crazy. And then as time goes on, it can create a resentment. It can create this almost this anxiety. So, you know, when I was a child, and then when I started to develop into like teenage years, I think that's when I started to develop the ability to point out my flaws before anybody else did. We're really good with that. We're really good at pointing out our own flaws and beating people to the punch, because we know that it makes other people feel comfortable, and we also feel like we won because we took that power away from you to tear us down. But I'm saying all that to go right back into how we can be self-righteous because of that upbringing, because of this stark, this is right and this is wrong. We don't even see at a certain point that we're self-righteous as hell. We don't even see our own faults. We think that because we give all this love and empathy to other people that they're just going to naturally give it back to us. I'll never say that you don't deserve love and respect. People who are genuinely kind individuals and seek that do deserve it. But the thing with Pisces is like, you're living in a fantasy. Everybody here isn't going to treat you that nicely. And life isn't black and white. There is no right and there is no wrong in a lot of things. There's a lot of gray. Most of life is gray. And it took me a little bit to understand that. I don't think a lot of Pisces even recognize how self-righteous they can be, thinking that almost like you're a god, like you're Jesus. It can be easy to think that way when you're always the one allowing people to walk all over you. But remember, you allowed people to walk all over you, okay? Nobody's told you that you couldn't be that person to cut someone off. Nobody told you to fall into your emotions. That's the constant thing that we do, is falling into our emotions, allowing our emotions to get the best of us, wearing the rose-tinted glasses and constantly thinking of this fantasy world we created with a person or our place or people. I was all over the place with that, but I hope that made sense. We can be very self-righteous, and that is not a good thing. Always look at life in a gray, and then, you know, the things that make sense that are black and white, like murder, clearly not right. It's not good. And the second part that I really wanted to focus in on is the rose-tinted glasses, okay? This is where these are the things that I'm mentioning, the self-righteous and the rose-tinted glasses. These are reasons why every time you read about Pisces, they'll say that we play victim. And it always pissed me off because I was like, play victim? But the problem is that they are playing victim. They just don't see that they're playing victim. You see what I'm saying? So with the rose-tinted glasses, you'll meet someone, all they had to do was do a few nice things for you, and then all of a sudden now you're creating this entire storyline in your head. Now you have put this person on a pedestal, and there are multiple reasons why we do that. It is not just because we are actually in love with the idea of falling in love. That premise alone attaches itself to us wanting and needing a purpose in life. You know, those Pisces who have like 1,000,001 crushes. I've been there, you know, currently there. We have 1,000,001 crushes, and we always fall into these very tumultuous relationships with people who don't deserve us because, because we're trying to feel something. We're trying to actually have a purpose in life. We don't know why we're here again for the 5th millionth time. So it's easy for us to get trapped and caught up in that. And it's also just the fantasy factor. It feels good. It's nice. You're living your own little world. You're floating. You're doing this and that, like, you know. But it's important that you need to take the rose-tinted glasses off, my loves. Okay. See people for who they exactly are. Take the rose-tinted glasses off. Take a moment, come out of the ocean, stand on the ground on earth, and look at what is right before you. Look at exactly what you see, because what you see is usually what you get. So yeah, those two really needed to be mentioned and dissected, because I'm tired of hearing Pisces play victim, but you're not explaining it in a really great way. You're not adding the oomph that needs to be added in order for people to actually understand it, versus people just being like, oh, they're just babies. If we're really going to be honest, every single zodiac sign is a baby in one way, shape, or form. Every single zodiac sign is extremely sensitive. Maybe not about everything, but about very specific things, okay? And all of us have our faults, and all of us play victim. So the last thing that I want to say about Pisces, because I forgot to mention this, and this is extremely important to who we are as individuals, we are extremely intuitive, and we feel everything. Literally everything. I'll go into that a little bit more, but let me start with intuition. So as you know, Neptune influences, you know, illusions and dreams and psychic phenomena. That's why a lot of Pisces you'll meet are really into astrology, are really into the occult or some type of spiritualism. Even if it's like Christianity, they are really embedded in it. They pray a lot, and that's how we are really great manifestors, because we actually believe. If I don't need to see to believe, or a person, that will be Pisces, because we don't really need to see. we see it here. We see it in our visions. We see it in our dreams, which is another part that I wanted to bring up. I'll give one little personal example of how we are the dreamers, because we tend to have a lot of crazy psychic-like dreams. A lot of our dreams are telling us something, giving us messages, even from the spirit world. I know it sounds really, really scary, but it's true. And the ones who tend to be most affected by it are those with Pisces moon. I noticed. I feel like their dreams are on a whole other level. But yeah. The story that I want to tell is about a personal dream that I had that was, I think, right before I moved here, the Bronx, in the summer of 2018. I had a dream while I was living in Brooklyn. And in that dream, I was in my I don't want to say childhood home, but my 8th grade to high school home, our last home before everything changed. And we were all sleeping, and it wasn't just me in the home. It was my brother, my mom, and a bunch of other people, which I'm assuming were my family members. And for some reason, we were all sleeping in the living room, and there was like a dim light, but that dim light was a fire starting, and I was the only one awake. So I started freaking out and screaming, and I'm just like, oh my God, everybody get up, please get that up. And like everybody's moving and running, and I'm looking because I'm looking for my brother. For some reason, my intuition in the dream was telling me, where's Marcus? So I'm looking for my brother, and my mom is like running too, and I'm like, oh my God, Marcus. And I run, and he would not wake up. I'm like pounding on him, pushing him, all types of stuff, trying to get him awake. And it just got to a point where me and my mom like took all of our force and dragged him out, and just in time. And then the dream ends with us looking back at this childhood home, and it burns down to the ground. And for some reason, there was like a weird feeling of everything's gonna be okay. And then I woke up, and that messed me up. Okay, I've also had a lot of what's it called, sleep paralysis. I've had that so much to the point where I can't even sleep on my back. It messes me up that badly. Like, I've had people within my sleep paralysis come to me and land on top of it. It's very, very scary. But I told that story about the dream because after that dream, it was like a message. Everything changed. Everything. My mom sold our childhood home. She ended up getting a bomb job as a investigator, lawyer, attorney for Walmart, and moved to Arkansas. Like, our lives literally changed. My brother ended up having to move to UArts because he was getting what did I say? Not moving there. He got a new apartment, so he had moved from the dorms to his new apartment. And then I was still in New York, but I was moving from Brooklyn all the way to the Bronx. Like, so much had changed for the better. And that's why it ended with us having that feeling, because I was scared. I was terrified. I thought something was going to happen to me and my family, just to realize that it was actually good. It meant something good. And so far, we have been extremely, immensely blessed. And ever since then, I've just really been into dreams. But it's taken me a bit to get back into them, because I don't like to sleep on my back anymore because of the sleep paralysis. So yeah, we're very intuitive. And did I mention how we feel everything? I think I did. But not only do we feel everything, we tend to feel other people's emotions mostly. Like, we don't know why we'll be angry, or why we'll be anxious, or why we'll be... It was just like our mood would just switch out of nowhere. And it's because we are feeling somebody else's emotion right next to us, or within the facility. I said vicinity. So this time, I'm not actually going to go too deep into sister signs at all, because I actually already did the sister sign relationship between Pisces and Virgo within the Mercury Talks, Jupiter Walks video. I'll place that link in the description box below, and I'll place the link somewhere in this video if you are on your laptop and happen to see that pop up. But I'll just say just a couple of things about Pisces' connection to earth signs in general, or how water has a relationship to earth in general. Typically in basic astrology, like really basic astrology, where they're not looking at birth charts, just looking at sun signs, the sun signs that tend to go together are the earth signs with the water signs, and the fire signs with the air signs. With fire and air, it's like explosive, and with earth and water, it's like a nurturing like flow, because water gives life to earth, but it can also destroy the earth. okay? If Earth receives too much water, like if a Virgo or a Taurus or a Capricorn and they were dating me and I was just too watery and just unevolved, that's not good, because it now is turning their dirt into mud and mushy. It is now creating tsunamis. It's now creating hurricanes. Like, water is powerful. That's why it cracks me up when people try to say that water signs are the weak links. No, we're actually not. We're actually a force to be reckoned with. Like, do you see, or do you know how powerful the ocean is? Not only is the ocean super huge, like literally the majority of our population, but we haven't even explored majority of it. We explored like a dot of the ocean. Like, I always love to say that if I'm to split up the water signs, Scorpio will be the abyss, Cancer would be the waves, and I guess I would be in the middle. And another great way to explain our connections with others, and particularly with water signs, I always thought it was very interesting how Cancer and Scorpio, Cancer is the crab, so they can be in water and they can be out of water. Scorpion is the same way. They can be in water, but they can also survive out of water. Pisces is the only water sign that cannot stay out of water for a long period of time. If you're thinking on fish level, they're never leaving the water. They're going to die if they leave the water. But if we're talking about like siren or mermaid level, they can get out of the water, but only for so long before they start to literally desperately need the water again. They can't be away. We can't be away from our fantasy world for too long. So either go with the flow or get out. That's all that I have for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it to the end, I know that was a whole lot. Hope that wasn't too harsh, and I hope I see you in my next video. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day or night, because that's probably when this is going to go up.